Hello folks, this is Zula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is footage taken from a double-up game with JDPL Grillo, the latest in a long series if you've watched this channel. In this game, we're going to be looking at one of the new augments in set 15, and this is the one known as aura farming. Yeah, that's a term that wasn't even really around a year ago, but now it seems to be everywhere in the online space. We're going to be aura farming with soul fighters in this game. This is being played on the first full patch of set 15, so not the release version. We're on the first official patch. The release version had a couple hotfix patches and turned into kind of a balanced nightmare based around Gangplank being really out of tune, really overtuned. This patch addresses that by nerfing Gangplank, of course. But this patch also apparently had a whole bunch of bugs in it, like stuff that was misfunctioning, not doing what it was supposed to. There was some bug with Callista where, like, if she overkilled a target, she could overkill the entire board. So this patch was also hotfixed literally the day it came out. You know, Riot, small indie company. Can't, very difficult to avoid having these game-breaking bugs come out. But, they just have so little staff. It's just really hard for them to stay on top of these things from a quality assurance standpoint. So anyway, long story short, this is the first full patch, but even with this being the first full patch, there had to be an emergency bug hotfix patch. And we're still playing this on the first day that this patch came out, so the new meta not really settled in yet. People not exactly sure what's strong and what's weak. All right, so as far as what's going on here, Grillo said that he had a mech opener, so I think I've already sent him a Lucian here. He has a Lucian 2-star. Should make his board reasonably strong in the early game. I was looking at different pieces here. I was like, I don't really have anything just yet. I'm not quite sure, but I was just figured I'd wait for my augment and maybe I'd be able to figure it out from there. But I didn't really have a whole lot at this point in time, so I was pretty open to going into different directions. But this gives me a Viego, and as soon as I see that, I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to go for Soul Fighter in this game. I also could go Prodigy, because I did get an early Malzahar, and that would be a decent option as well. So out of these options here, Dazzling Display would be good if I wanted to go the Sork shot. I don't really have any Sork units, though. I was actually checking. I was like, is Malzahar a Sork? But I was like, no, he's not. He's a Prodigy. And then I see Aura Farming. Gain a 2-star 5-cost champion equipped with an item. You can't field it until stage 1/6. So note that now I have a Zyra on my bench. Zyra's a 5-cost unit, but I can't put her on the board. I can't put her on the board until stage 4/6, so that's quite a long way away. But eventually she'll be able to jump onto my board. And out of these units here, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just play the 4 Soul Fighter. I wasn't planning on going vertical Soul Fighter here, but it's kind of the best I can do. And it was getting that Viego from the last minion round that really caused me to think, okay, I should probably go Soul Fighters here, just because it's kind of what I've hit. And then I also got a Kaisa from JDPL Grillo. I think we actually had a little miscommunication here. I thought that he was sending me a Callista, and he sent me a Kaisa. Yeah, similar names there, but not quite the same unit. So like I said, I think we could just got a little off on terms of these units. The one thing I could do with Kaisa is I could technically put her in and pick up Duelist trait for Viego. So like that's not terrible, but it's not really what I'm looking for here. I don't think that that's going to be too necessary. I was still figuring things out. You might notice I did not assign any items. I also did not assign my power up there either. So it's unsurprising that I ended up losing that round, even though I lost to a level 3 board, which is a little bit sad there. And then I continue to get more in the way of these units. Look, I've got another Callista, and then I also got a Lux here as well. So I was like, all right, well, I'm kind of hitting Soul Fighters. I'll put the power up temporarily on the Viego, although I think in retrospect maybe I should have just put it on the Callista, because I'm much more likely to hit Callista 2-star than I am to hit Viego 2-star at this point in time, and it's not like I'm playing Duelists or anything. But anyway, I put it on Viego, and we'll just have to try to make progress in there. I got the thing that allows him to execute enemies. If he can get me 2 or 3 extra gold with that, then I'll be reasonably satisfied. All right, back to the initial augment. As I said, I took this one called aura farming, which, as I said, is a term that was really just popped up on the internet in like the last year. I did a quick search before I recorded this video, and apparently this really caught on in popularity at the end of 2014. Hey, Viego farms a gold coin, nice. But like didn't really exist until the end of 2024. Did I say 2014? getting too old here. Didn't really exist until the end of 2024, and I'm recording this in 2025, so this is pretty recent here. If you haven't heard this term before, what does this actually mean? Well, it's a term that really popped up from people watching anime. And the idea is it refers to someone who is deliberately trying to look cool. In particular, people are thinking of those anime characters who will like stand around posing, trying to look super cool, even if it like doesn't make any sense and is in many ways counterproductive. I think I heard, I think I saw someone reference that the Sailor Moon character Tuxedo Moon is like the perfect example of this, who like comes in and makes dramatic entrances, but then doesn't actually do anything. But anyway, that's kind of the idea. It's like trying a little too hard to be cool and make like really impressive, crazy entrances, often in a way that's kind of counterproductive. So you can see in applying this to TFT, the developers have come up with the idea of when you pick this gold augment, absolutely nothing happens at first. Nothing happens. You get a 2-star 5-cost unit with an item that's tailored to them, but they just stand there on the bench. You can't field them until the end of stage 4. So that's when typically like about 70% of a game of TFT is actually over. So you're going to get no benefit for a very, very long period of time while your aura farming champion stands there posing, looking ridiculous in the corner, not helping your team. And then they're going to swoop in at like the last second to try to save the day. By getting you to play a 5-cost unit on your board. So it's a pretty cool concept. We don't have augment data. If we did, this one probably would not grade out very well in the augment data. The reason for that being that augments that don't give you any power up front typically don't perform very well in the in terms of like the stats. Now again, we don't have stats because Riot yanked them away from us back in set 13, and they apparently were just never getting augment stat data back again, so hooray for that. But if we did, I have to imagine this would not be one of the better scoring ones. It's probably one of those ones that would have a relatively low average placement, but would have a high win percentage, if that makes sense. It's kind of a high risk, high reward setup. All right, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and level to level 5 here. Now, this does drop me under the 20 gold threshold. I was hoping that if I won a round and Viego farmed me a gold coin, that might get me back to 20. But I also just wanted to make my board a little bit stronger here because I thought, you know, I do have a unit I want to play. I do want to put the Lux on the board just to make me a little bit stronger. But yeah, it doesn't actually do that much for me right here. I would much rather take one of these Soul Fighters off the board and pick up a synergy of some kind. In particular, I'd like to get an Executioner synergy for my Callista, but I haven't been seeing Executioner units. That's like the most important synergy I can make right now because Callista's my main carry. Anyway, that doesn't happen, and I get stuck on 19 gold, which is obnoxious, but I didn't want to sell the Xinjiao, and I didn't want to sell the Lux. So I just got stuck at 19 gold there for a round. Womp womp. In terms of what Grillo is playing, you might have seen his board. I mentioned he was going mech, and specifically he's going to try to go for 3-star Yasuo. He hit a very early 2-star Yasuo, and so now he's going to try to go for the 3-star Yasuo. You might also notice some of these other boards are also playing mech, and mech's going to be kind of contested. There's several people that are still going for the Gangplank. That was the meta in the previous patch, the release patch after the release patch got whatever. I think the release patch got a B patch that left Gangplank being like really, really overtuned. So anyway, here I'm actually going to put the Yasuo in my team planner here. I have to pick a new one apparently, but I'm going to put Yasuo in here because Grillo's going to go for 3-star Yasuo. So anyway, yeah, Gangplank was really overtuned in the previous patch. But now he has been nerfed. Hopefully he is not quite as dominant. We actually have 2 mechs hitting each other here from the person I'm up against and the person and Grillo's board reinforcing. Yeah, Gangplank's been toned down, and hopefully he will not be nearly as dominant in this patch because that was just pretty obnoxious. All right, well, anyway, there we go. There's a Yasuo. That'll get Grillo up to 4 of them. That last round was actually pretty important because it let me maintain a win streak, and it also denied a win streak to this other team that we're competing with. This other team is on 98 HP. One of them has won all 5 rounds, and one of them has won 4 out of 5 rounds. But we were able to interrupt the win streak of one of them, the player who has a name that's made up of what looks like Chinese characters, which I cannot read. Yeah, I know like maybe like a couple dozen of those characters, but I only know like a tiny handful of them, so I cannot begin to guess at what that actually says. All right, I was going to make Spear of Shojin here, but then I get the glove to drop, and I was like, oh, I'll just make Infinity Edge instead. That's actually a little bit better for Callista here. I am, of course, making items that are going to go into Samira later on. I'm playing Vertical Soul Fighters, so I am looking to play into Samira for my main carry, Set for my main tank, and then eventually a Gwen, but Gwen is a 5 cost, so she's going to be a little bit trickier to hit. And of course, I also have that Zyra that's going to come on my board later on too, as Grillo sends me another Xinjiao. Xinjiao 2-star is going to be quite nice. So now that I've made the Infinity Edge and I have 2-star Callista, it really is time to move my power up over to her. And look at the different options here. I was like, hat trick is if I think I can win streak, but I don't know if I can. I'm just going to go for this one that decreases the cost of her ability. Callista has a high mana cost. I think her normal mana cost is 90, and I believe this cut her down to 70, which is a pretty big decrease in the mana cost. But she's basically gated by having a really high mana cost, so letting her cast sooner is going to be pretty nice. Now, I'm not going to get like extra econ from this, which is what I often try to take with the early power-ups. But yeah, it's not going to hurt. It's still going to be pretty good. So again, I'm still playing this purely Vertical Soul Fighters. I really would like to get another trait synergy in here. As I said, I would take out the Lux for a trait synergy. But like, I think I had the option to play a Rel for Bastion trait. But like, putting in a 1-star 1-cost unit just for Bastion trait, that didn't really feel worthwhile. Oh, here, by the way, we're going to end the other player's win streak. That other person is going for 3-star Darius. So that was pretty nice. We were able to interrupt that one. Time for our second augment. This one's silver. It's definitely not Kingslayer. We have so much health that's almost never going to trigger. Corrosion I don't think is very good. Underdogs, if you're doing reroll, I did think about augmented power, but I was like, you know what? Let's just go for Pandora's items. I always like Pandora's items as a silver augment, and here we have the opportunity to let some of these items reroll. I was like, yeah, that seems fine. That seems pretty good to me. Plus, I'll get an extra item component. As I said, I've always liked Pandora's item as a silver augment. I think it's pretty strong there. Oh, by the way, Grillo was hitting like 1 billion Viegos, so he's going to be sending me Viegos. He thought maybe if he hit enough Viegos, we could try to hit Viego 3-star, because he's going to be re-rolling for 3-star Yasuo and 3-star Udyr. So he's re-rolling for 3-cost units. And I was like, okay, I mean, sure, why not? We can give it a try. If I see a big run of Viegos, then maybe if he sends me like 2 or 3, I'll be able to hit it. It's not an important goal, but we might as well try. And we might as well make use of those sends. I actually have not been seeing Viegos. I got the 1 Viego from a minion round, and I haven't seen any others thus far. But like I said, maybe it's worth a try. You never know what's going to pop up in your shop. Sometimes you get a big run of units. This fight was funny because this person's trying to play Cogmaul, but Callista just one-shots the Cogmaul with a spear. I also did have the opportunity to take one of these units out. I probably should have taken out something and looked to play the Swain. He would have given me Bastion and Sork trait for Lux, but I did not pick that up. I probably should have picked him up and then played him here on level 6. Now, obviously, what I want to do is I want to get another Soul Fighter unit in for Soul Fighter 6, but that does require hitting either Samira or hitting Set or Gwen, technically. Gwen's the 5 cost. So yeah, I should have picked up the Swain last round and played it this round, and that would definitely have been better. But I really was just thinking, hey, let's put in an Executioner for Callista to put that trait in. Give her extra critical strike chance. But yeah, I fall back on the Vi. Headwinder was watching our game, and this was his suggestion. Headwinder and Antisocial Monkey were both watching this because we were locally streaming it for them. And so we can put Juggernaut trade in play. I mean, it's only going to help Neferi. It's not really that significant, but whatever. Probably better than stuffing another Lux on the board just for that. If you're curious about what Soul Fighter trait does, we're still relatively early in the set. Soul Fighter is mostly an offensive trait. All the Soul Fighter units get extra health. That's kind of the defensive portion. And then they also get attack damage and AP. They actually get a small amount of AD and AP every second for 8 seconds. And then after those 8 seconds are up, their abilities deal bonus true damage. So that's why you will be seeing on this little, if you look at the damage chart, you see a little bit of true damage on everybody. Because after those 8 seconds are up, then they start dealing true damage on their abilities. But it's mostly an offensive trait. Gives AD and AP, mostly an offensive trait. Does give some health, but for the most, it's not like a tank trait overall. So I am, of course, looking for Samira or Set. There is a Set on this carousel. I'd be very happy to take that if I could get it, because that would let me play 6 Soul Fighter. Going from 5 to 6 Soul Fighter is actually a pretty big jump up, because the damage, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's a pretty big jump. Well, the Set gets taken, so that's not exactly what I want, but there is an Akali there, and I'm down for that. Akali will put Executioner trait in play for Callista, and she's better than anything else I can play at the moment. I also get a bow, which is not bad because I'm happy to make Last Whisper here. I'll go ahead and do the Infinity Edge Last Whisper combo. That's very good on Samira. I also get another Viego coming over from Grillo. as we do the gift round. Once again, I do have the option to play that Swain if I wanted to, but I'm going to pass that up again. I'd rather play the Akali here for Executioner trait. And again, we're mostly just econing here, just trying to get up to higher levels. If you're going to play Vertical Soul Fighter, it's really a fast 8 team composition. By that we mean get to level 8, find Samira, find Set. It's based around playing the 4 cost units, and then capping out with Gwen in the late game, and then if you can often try to put Yone on your board at level 9 because he'll put Edgelord trait in for Samira, but it's a trait based around playing 4 and 5 cost units. This was not really a viable trait in the previous patch because Gangplank was so dominant that he was just crushing these boards before they could scale up. If people can run over lobbies with a 2-star Gangplank, you just didn't have time to get to your 4 and 5 cost units. So Soul Fighters were not in the meta in the previous patch, but now that Gangplank is nerfed, they might be coming back again. We'll have to see. It's a little bit early to say. Also, I'm going to get jumped on by the other team. Here comes Darius with his Dunk Fest. Grillo's board is also over here, but unfortunately it's not enough. And that's a bit of a shame because it interrupts my win streak. I almost beat the other board. I would have beaten that other board, I think, but that's the game. People can reinforce you in double up mode. That's the name of the game. Alrighty, so we have this champion sent up. There's some Udirs in my shop here. I'm going to take a component anvil, I believe. By the way, more Viegos over there on Grillo's board, so I'll send him the Udyr. And then here I had the chance to pick something else up, and I was like, I think it's the Giant's Belt, because I do need to get some more frontline stuff at some point. And I'll just stuff that on the Xinjiao, and we'll put the power up on Xinjiao as well. I was looking at these different options. Spiky Shell's good for stage 2. It falls off really hard. I'm going to take the regeneration, heal every 3 seconds. Healing effects are increased. What I was checking is, I was like, wait, does Xinjiao have a healing effect? And he does. His ability actually is a heal. So you don't want to take that unless the unit in question has a heal. So it'll increase how much health he heals with his ability. And he kind of has, I've said this before in another video, he basically has old redemption, which means that he'll get ticking health regen every couple seconds as well. So this isn't the most amazing power up in the world, but it's certainly going to make him a little bit harder to kill. He's actually tanking really well. He's tanking against 5 other units there. I wish I had a Gargoyle Stoneplate on him. But yeah, no, he's doing a fantastic job of keeping me afloat, and then Callista can just throw spears and try to polish off these other units. So it looks like we're going to win this fight too. And yeah, that other board, one of the other people trying to play mech doesn't seem like they're in such great shape. Still, the team that's playing Darius is actually on a win streak right now. So that is one of the boards we have to watch out for. It's pretty clear that it's going to come down to us versus that other team for most of the competition in this game. I think I'm just going to stuff the Udyr on the board until for the time being. Oh, no, never mind. I should put the Udyr on the board because he'd give me a duelist trait. And that's probably better than playing 2 Viegos, one of whom doesn't have any items. You can see there's even more Viegos over there on Grillo's bench getting waited to be sent over to me. He could have, if you can no longer send 2-star units and double up. But if you could, he would have been able to send me some 2-star Viegos pretty easily here. We're also going to get the big prismatic orb that gives a completed item anvil. I was trying to stash that sword, but unfortunately it re-rolls. And there we go. There's another Viego for me. And now I'm going to have to look to use the Masterwork upgrade. I can take something here. I was like, what do I want here? I was like, oh, you know what? I think I want the Spear of Shojin because that's a pretty good item on Samira as well. I'm pretty happy with these items on her. And yeah, I'll put the Udyr on the board just for this round, although I'm going to be sending the Yasuo next. And then I need to use the Masterwork upgrade on something. The obvious choice is the Infinity Edge, because that'll, just having a Radiant Infinity Edge should be good. But apparently you can't do it mid-fight, which makes sense. We'll also make a Warmogs for Xinjiao, and we're looking pretty solid here. I finally managed to get some trait synergies in. The 5 Soul Fighter, along with 2 Executioner, 2 Duelist, 2 Juggernaut, and Mentor trait. Probably should have put Udyr on my board sooner, because he slots in here pretty nicely. He'll come out of the board eventually, but for right now, he's a pretty good fit. And yeah, we ran over that board without too much trouble. Person's playing Crystal Gambit. Now we have our final augment, and look at this, Soul Surge. When they hit max power, Soul Fighters gain 45% attack speed and 10% durability for a few seconds. He even gave me another Lux, so I'm able to hit Lux 2-star off that. All right, we'll take the Radiant Infinity Edge. Now we're going to look to level. And again, I'm just trying to be patient with this here. If you're wondering why I'm not, this is the standard time to go to level 8 and roll down, but we're in such a comfortable position here. I don't really feel the need to go level 8 and burn all my economy trying to find one Samira or one Set. I think we're in a pretty comfortable shape here. The other thing is I am going to need to get to level 9 in this game. It's actually really important I get to level 9. The reason being, I'm about to get that Zyra on my board. She's going to be playable on 4-6. So that's only a couple of rounds away. And I have to get to level 9 to play her. Otherwise, I can't fit her on the board. Because I did not get a Soul Fighter emblem. I would have really liked that. I would have just put the Soul Fighter emblem on the Zyra. And then I could have cut one of the weaker units on this board. Probably Callista. She's been great thus far, but she's going to fall off in the late game. She did one-shot the Yumi on the other team there, so that's pretty funny. But she would probably be the unit to cut if I were going to get a Soul Fighter emblem. However, we've now gone past all of the augments, and none of them gave me a Soul Fighter emblem. I did get something that powered up my Soul Fighter units with that last augment that gives them, extra durability and extra attack speed for a couple seconds after they use their ability. But I didn't actually get an emblem. So since I didn't get an emblem, if I want to play 8 Soul Fighters, which I do, I have to get to level 9 to play Zyra because all my slots are taken up by 8 Soul Fighters plus the Zyra, and then that's it. I don't have any more slots for any more units. So I really need to get to level 9. It's not enough to get to level 8. I have to get to level 9. So my thinking is go to level 8, find one Samira, find one Set, and then push to level 9 so I can put in Zyra. And then I'll find Gwen on level 9 as well. And that's how I'll get up to the 8 Soul Fighters. So that was the plan. That's why I wasn't being more aggressive economically here. Why I wasn't rolling down here. I thought our boards were in pretty comfortable shape. We're on 83 health in this lobby. It would be different if we were on like 20 HP, but we're not. Anyway, this other player did hit the 3-star Darius. So if you're familiar, if you watched any of the PvE footage on the beta environment, yeah, Darius was like super overtuned there. They've been slowly giving him buffs after he got nerfed into trash tier on the live client. So he's starting to get a little bit stronger. It seems like it's playable now, but it's probably not something you should force unless you have Darius in a good spot. So yeah, I'm not going to beat Darius 3, but I think I can outscale Darius 3 eventually. All right, so here's stage 4 carousel. And look, there is a Gwen on this carousel. I was like, ooh, nobody wants the Gwen? Really? Okay, I will take that. That is the hardest unit for me to hit. That is the 5-cost Soul Fighter. And I need her to play 8 Soul Fighters, but I get her off carousel. So now I only need 1 Set and 1 Samira in order to hit 3-star. In order to hit the 8 Soul Fighters. By the way, pretty funny I get 6 Soul Fighter in by finding Gwen. And here comes a Set from Grillo. Pretty funny I get the 8 Soul Fighter, or the 6 Soul Fighter in from finding a Gwen, not a Set, and not a Samira there. All right, so now I just want to roll to find 1 Samira, because that'll let me play 8 Soul Fighters. I just want 1. 1 will be sufficient to get the 8 Soul Fighters in. Lee Sin's interesting, but no. Come on, we just need to find 1. Can we get 1 Samira? It shouldn't be that hard to find 1. She's not being contested in this lobby. I will take the sword and stash it on the Gwen, just because there's a number of useful items I can make out of that on her. I could do Bloodthirster, would not be bad. I could do Gunblade. What else? Even Giant Slayer would not be terrible because Gwen spends a lot of time hitting frontline. Anyway, I do lose to this person who's been rolling it down. I've spent almost no econ on rolls the whole game, so that's not surprising. So can I find 1? Come on, I need 1 Samira. Come on, game. All right, there she is. Okay, now we can take the Udyr off the board. We do lose some trait synergies for that, but that's fine. I can actually put Zyra on the board now, but I'm content to play the 8 Soul Fighters instead. So we will move all of our items over to the Samira. We now need to move the power-up over to Samira. And I need to do the same thing with Set, but I don't want to transfer my tank items to Set just yet, because he's still a 1-star unit. Here I was a little uncertain on which power-up to pick. I was looking here. I didn't think any of these were great. I ended up taking Critical Threat. Abilities can critically strike, gain crit chance every few seconds. Now, this is somewhat wasted on Samira because she already has an Infinity Edge, because that means her abilities can already crit, but she does constantly keep getting more crit chance every few seconds, and that will convert into damage. Now, granted, the damage conversion rate is not amazing. When you get more than 100% crit chance, it goes into extra damage, but it's not a great conversion rate. Still, the plus side is Samira will be constantly getting more damage over and over again throughout the fight. So I don't think this was ideal, but there could have been worse options to pick. So anyway, now we have the 8 Soul Fighters in, and we can now play Zyra on our board. So we're going to go level 9, and we're going to put Zyra in after the minion round here. And we have just enough econ to get there. So we're going to be able to play all 8 Soul Fighters plus Zyra, and then we just need to 2-star the board. We don't have to worry about Zyra. We already have 2-star Zyra. But we're going to need to hit 2-star Samira, 2-star Set, and 2-star Gwen. And so that's the project for the remainder of the game. Finish 2-starring our board. Get the tank items over to Set. Get some more items for Zyra, and then get some more items for Gwen. So gold is very important here. We need a lot of money. This is a very expensive board to put together. So we're going to need to get some of these. And I was like, do I want to do the Gunblade? I was like, no, but I do want to stash the rod. Okay, woo! Stash the rod before it re-rolled into something else. That was what I was hoping for there. All right, so we go to level 9. I don't have a ton of gold left over. There's another Samira, though, so we'll pick that up. Let's pull our item anvil to see what we can get there. Oh, I also do want to get this cloak off of the Viego. It was stuck on him the whole game. All right, so I am down for Jeweled Gauntlet on Gwen, and then I'll go ahead and do Bloodthirster. These are pretty good Gwen items, and then I'm content to make the Spirit Visage, and then I'm going to move my power up, and I was like, do I put it on Set? I was like, no, you know what? I got a 2-star Zyra. Let's put the power up on Zyra. We'll just take Efficient, ability cost reduced. This means Zyra will get her cast off faster. All right, so Zyra, what does she actually do? She's a pretty interesting unit. I have not gotten a chance to play her much in this set so far, but she's a very, very useful utility unit in this set. Her only effective trait is Crystal Gambit. Her other trait, I believe, is a unique trait. That is, her other trait is Rose Mother, which is a unique trait. So really her only trait is Crystal Gambit. And that means that she's extremely splashable onto different boards. You can kind of play her on almost any board, really, because she basically doesn't have traits except Crystal Gambit. That's the only trait that she has. So, all right, there we go. That's 2-star Samira. That's a big, big hit. So what does her ability do? Well, when her mana bar fills up, she gets to, she has these different plants on the board, and she actually has different effects depending on where the plants are. If the plants are in the front row, they basically function like Alawi tentacles from set 10. They will like soak up damage, and her ability will recreate the plant if it's up in the front row when it dies, just like Alawi would do with her tentacles in set 10. In the back row, her plants kind of function like a Heimer turret from, what was that set? Which set was it that Heimer had put the turrets down? It was that set 5, I think? I think he did something similar in set 9 as well. I'm trying to remember, but it's basically like the way Heimer turrets were in the old sets. It just like pumps out damage and deals additional damage when her mana bar fills up. As you see that now that I have 2-star Samira, I'm starting to run over these boards pretty easily. I mean, I have 8 Soul Fighters with Samira 2-star, and Samira has a Radiant Infinity Edge on her board, so yeah. That's pretty good there. All right, I'm going to send the Jarvan over to Grillo. That makes Jarvan 2-star, and I also pick up an extra set for myself. So I'm going to get the gift round here. The gift round gives me an item, and I get Steadfast Heart, which is not what I want. I'm looking for an item for Gwen or Zyra here, so I'll just let this reroll. I wouldn't mind putting the Steadfast Heart on the Set. You know, I probably should have put, you know what I should have done? I should have put the Steadfast Heart on Set, and then put the Adaptive Helm on Zyra. That's what I should have done here to help her cast faster. Oh, wow. I did not see that play at the time. I didn't realize I had all those extra, item removers. And I also, my biggest weakness right now is frontline because I only have 1-star Set. So I'm going to move the Zyra plants up to the front line. I think that was a suggestion from Antisocial Monkey and Headwinder, who are, as I mentioned before, watching this game. So that'll give me a little bit more frontline that other teams have to chew through. Okay, so I mentioned that Zyra has these plants that kind of do extra effects. The reason why Zyra is such a good utility unit, though, is she has another ability on her cast. When she casts, she gives the entire team attack speed for the next few seconds. I think it's for the next 4 seconds. It starts out at, I believe she gives 60% attack speed for the next 4 seconds. But if you get more ability power, that actually goes up even higher. Like, she gives even more benefits if you give her more AP. So here on the carousel, again, I'm looking for a Gwen item here. Could also do the Void Staff. Actually, would not be bad to put on Zyra. She's pretty good at applying Void Staff. But I just decided I'm going to take the Death Cap and I'm going to stuff this on Gwen because I think just increasing Gwen's total AP is going to be pretty good here. Anyway, now that I have the Death Cap on Zyra, oh, and by the way, this Adaptive Helm, I ended up getting the same effect anyway. I get another Adaptive Helm. That Steadfast Heart rerolled into an Adaptive Helm via Pandora's item, so that's kind of amusing. So we end up with Adaptive Helm on Zyra anyway, which is going to let her cast a little bit faster. Anyway, as I was saying, Zyra gives attack speed to the whole team. So in this fight that's upcoming, watch how fast the rest of the team attacks right after Zyra gets her cast off. And because I have a whole bunch of ability power on Zyra, she's got a death cap over there. She actually is going to give the whole team 110% attack speed when she casts. So yeah, watch when Zyra's mana bar fills up. Okay, she's going to cast now. Watch how fast the rest of the team attacks. Samira, boom, 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 boom. Samira does like getting 100% attack speed for the next few seconds. Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, we're just going to rip right through that team. And I'm even going to get enough gold from winning the round that I can pick up another set for set 2-star. So because Soul Fighters is mostly an offensively oriented trait, this Zyra actually slots in here really nicely. The only thing that's a bit disappointing is it does mean I can't play Yone on the board for Edgelord trait. So again, it would be really nice if I had +1 Soul Fighter trait, because then I could ditch the Callista, I could put the emblem on like the Zyra or on a Yone, and then I could put Yone on the board to get an Edgelord trait. But that aside, the Zyra's been fantastic. You know, the Zyra who was off there posing in the corner for the first 80% of this game has actually made a dramatic entrance and legitimately made a real difference. Yeah, what is this? Non-plant allies gain 114% attack speed, decaying over 4 seconds. So yeah, Zyra gets that cast off fast, and then the whole rest of the team just goes nuts. I mean, Samira gets her cast off so much faster as a result of that. And it's just a great fit. She's a fantastic utility unit for the rest of this board. By the way, this fight's pretty close. This person had a 2-star Varus over there and a 2-star Twisted Fate. So they're playing some 5-cost units, double 2-star 5-costs over there. But it looks like our board is still strong enough to win. And that team is now down to 1 HP. There's also a team that's apparently dead, but one of them is showing up with 3 health. I don't know what's going on with that. Teehee125 is apparently both dead and has 3 health. So very confusing. Not quite sure what's going on. Yeah, like we said, this game does definitely still have some bugs. So anyway, I'm looking for one more item here. I'm looking for another Zyra item. Basically, I just want Zyra to cast a little bit faster in the fight. So anything that gives her mana regen, like blue buff would be fine here. I only really care about her first cast. I don't really care about her second cast. So blue buff is fine. Shojin's fine. Something that just gives her like a Shojin would be fine here. Give her a little more mana regen. I'm just looking for the last Gwen here. If I can find the last Gwen quickly, I could go to level 10 and then put in an Edgelord. But then we do find Gwen, so that's very nice. And I'm actually going to move the power-up off of Zyra and onto Gwen, because Gwen is a 2-star 5-cost 8 Soul Fighter unit. So anyway, we'll go ahead and take that. And then, Shojin, perfect. Again, the goal is just for Zyra to get her cast off faster. So my board is now capped. I've hit everything. Literally everything is 2-star. I've completely filled my board. And now we're up against the Darius reroll player. So how does Darius 3-star match up against my board? Let's see. He's going to use up his first cast on the Zyra plant, and now we're going to focus the Darius, and well, goodbye Darius. Yeah, Darius was not strong enough to stand up to the team. So we win that round very, very easily. And then now it's a close fight with the other player. I mean, it doesn't matter if we win this round or not, because we already have won this. It looks like it's Gwen and Set against this Luchador Cassante on the other team. Set, you got this. Boom. Set gets off one last punch. And so we're going to wrap this up with a pretty comfortable victory here. Grillo was able to hit his 3-star Yasuo, his 3-star Udyr. His board was in a really solid position as well. But I kind of hit everything. Everything except, as I said, everything except putting an Edgelord at level 10. And I was very, very happy with how this team came together. So it was fun. The aura farming thing was interesting. I think it's a well-designed augment because it has like real strengths and weaknesses in terms of how you put the board together. And I got to combine the Zyra, who was really effective in this game with the Soul Fighters. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care, folks, and I will see you again soon.